Actually, I didn't want to teach. It was just for me. I wanted to take time to see what's my purpose in life.
Okay.
And I thought that would give me the space to do that. So I went to India, and then my life took another course.
Completely, yeah. So you do this 1 month course in India, right?
Yes,
You're now properly trained.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also expand into a different type of body learning. Is it
Ayurveda.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while I was doing my teacher's training course, we had a person who came and taught us about Ayurveda.
What's that?
Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word, which means Veda is knowledge, Ayur is life. It's the knowledge of life. So I thought, like, this spoke to me. And so I came back to Germany and said, well, I'm giving up work.
You're no longer selling gum?
I'm not selling chewing gums anymore. And I'm moving. Actually, by then, I had met my husband. And he said, why don't you come to the States and see what's out here for you? And the schools that I was looking for were in the States. So I just moved and started studying again. And yeah.
Okay, so you moved to the US.
Yes.
You were properly studying Ayurveda,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
And you're doing yoga with friends within a smaller community.
Yes, and even in the school that I was attending, I was leading courses and classes, but it wasn't that. I was like teaching a lot.
Okay.
And then I was pregnant, and I got my kids, and so it wasn't that I was taking yoga very. It wasn't I would practice for myself, but I wasn't going out there and teaching and everything.
On it, yeah.
That all started
after you came to Ethiopia.
Yes.
So you moved back to Ethiopia. By this point, you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Her kids' names are amazing. Her daughter's name, Karaji.
Yes.
And your son is Sorani.
Sorani, yeah.
And they're both Gurage names.
Yes.
So you can ask her afterwards what those mean. But so, you know, because we're family and we get to interact, I know that Karaji, your daughter, is super introspective. She's a quiet child, but you can tell there's a lot of things going on in her head.
And also.
A very observer, right? A super observer. And you have a super free-spirited son. And he's a bit he's on the autism spectrum, right? You were able to identify that early on. What was that, there's something going on here moment for you?
So, Sarani I started noticing when he was 2, he wasn't speaking a lot, and he wasn't very attentive. And most of all, he had constipation. And for me, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, our gut, and Eleni was saying a lot about gut and mind, this is so connected.
Our gut and our mind.
Our gut and our mind. So if this is not okay, there will be an issue up here. So that fogginess and everything, and he was very constipated. So I started changing his diet, gluten-free and this and that. It would help for a short period of time, but it wasn't. So I somehow knew, like, if I would solve this problem, everything else would change. But I didn't have the tools. So as a mother, you'd sit there and think, like, okay, what if my son is never going to be able to express himself? As long as I'm alive, I'll be there for him. But when I'm no more, what's his life going to be like? So with all the yoga and the meditation I knew, our mind is so strong. I would say, okay, give it up to the creator and everything will be fine. And 2 seconds later, I'm back again. What are you going to do? What if? And we try to solve problems with this mind that can only know so much. This mind is only there for this body, to protect this body. So the unknown is very much, it's a space nobody wants to be in. So when I decided to go to the States and have him evaluated and everything, at least, you start taking steps.
Yeah.
So I had him evaluated, but I also went to a holistic doctor who did all this tests to see like what can we do with his gut to change that. So we tried both, and we stayed in the States for 6 months. And by the end of that time, he was able to talk. He was able
The constipation went away?
Yes, the constipation went away. Supplements. We did so many things.
Yeah.
Alongside with the speech therapy and everything that he did. But it was a huge leap. He was
So
a different
that
boy.
connection, so that
Yes.
when this released.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And he started, started potty training, and he doesn't like dirt, and and maybe that was also something that, he didn't want to get dirty, so he was holding back. But anyways, whatever the reason was, that cleared, that fogginess in his mind was gone.
Wow.
So, and it was a miracle.
Yeah.
And he's in my life. Like everybody said, our kids are in our life to teach us.
Yeah.
There's this nice saying by Khalil Gibran where he says, "Their children are not yours, but they come through you." So they are our mirrors, and yeah.
He sure is. He tells you like it is.
Yes.
He does not hold back. He challenges you. It's like, come give me a hug. No. He's, okay.
It does.
So how did Tulsi get started? So you're back after 6 months of being in the US. You're navigating your life in Ethiopia.
Yeah, actually, it happened before I left. Tulsi was opened by somebody else.
Okay.
It wasn't Tulsi then. And it just came to me. I didn't go out in search of Tulsi. But everything in my life came to me.
Okay.
So I never, as I said, I never planned my life. And Tulsi came to me. And somebody that I knew came and I said, there's this space opening up across the street where I was living. And I went and I started teaching. And before I came back with Sorani to Addis, the owner of that place, he sent me an email saying, if you want to run this place, if you want to take it over, it's all yours.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a struggle, or I wasn't looking for it. It just came.
Yeah.
So I embraced it, and yeah.
What were some of the first things that you did in Tulsi?
So I had normal sessions for adults, but I started with kids yoga.
Kids yoga.
Yeah, that was my first. I started doing summer camps for kids. While I was staying in the States, one of the things I saw was, as a mother, your kids just grow naturally, so you don't see when, unless you're confronted with someone like my boy Sarani, you don't know the tools how to talk with kids or how to communicate with them. So one of the things where in the States they would ask me can he follow instructions? I don't know what kind of instructions. I never give him instructions. So I got some tools to work with kids. So when I came back, I started giving kids sessions. We started doing summer camps. There were no summer camps in Addis by then.
Yeah.
So I felt like when I work with kids, I'm planting a seed that they might, one day say, oh, I did that back then. And so that was the biggest thing I did. Every summer, I made sure that I would take time to do the summer camp for kids.
And you did those around your kids' age, right?
Yes.
The experiences grew.
Yeah. First, it was 3 years to 5.
Yeah.
When they grew up, I upgraded the whole thing. I did one summer off, hold the Ethiopian, because I came back so that my kids would have the same experience I had growing up, and somehow it wasn't there. So I was teaching how to make injera, how to make
kids.
Yes.
Okay.
And mugaca mafcet and everything, ጥጥ መፍተል, So we did all those things, bagana and all these cultural things.
Nice.
Storytelling, Ethiopian storytelling. And when they grew a little older, we started going throughout Addis and seeing those places that I visited as a child. So I always, they gave me, I created the community around me. So that was
So the kids' activities grew as your kids grew as well?
Exactly.
How did you build the yoga community for the adults?
I would teach one person. Like, I didn't have big groups or anything, but I was very motivated. I had the energy. Everybody was saying, I would, 6 a.m., somebody said, I want to have a session at 6 a.m. I would say, okay, 6 a.m., I would take a public taxi from Minilik to Bole. I would go and I would show up, and that person might not even be there. And I'm like, okay, let me have coffee. It didn't, I just wanted to give so much. It didn't bother me if I would teach one person or two, or nobody would show up. I would show up for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And now we have created a very, very strong
Now
community.
you have.
Now
So who were the initial takers? Was it more of the expat community, and was it hard to break into the Ethiopian community to get them? Yeah.
So at the beginning, it was mostly expats and diaspora Ethiopians who came back to Ethiopia. But I always gave once a month a beginner session so that people would feel like, okay, everybody's in the same space where they have no idea about yoga and would talk about it. So I always made sure that I had the time to do this, and I've been doing that for the past 7 years. So we did that a lot.
Okay.
And that created a very strong Ethiopian community now. And we also have younger yoga teachers now who use the space of Tulsi at the beginning to set up their business and to set up to be that yoga teacher. So we have a very strong now local Ethiopian community as well.
As you're expanding and building the whole concept of yoga within the Ethiopian context, like was there a clash between, because there's this, I don't know if it's a myth, but there's this thinking that yoga clashes with religion.
Yes.
That it's against, tell us more about that.
It's not only in Ethiopia, it's mostly in other countries as well. But it's because it comes from India, and we know that Indians have all the gods and everything. People associate it with that, but it has nothing to do with what kind of God that you believe in. And the word spiritual is very much, people say it's spirit, spiritual, that's the conflict that was here. But more and more, when people see who you are or what you practice, and when they come and get the experience, then that's what I tell people, before you judge it, just come and experience. And what has changed a lot now is, during the COVID time, I had the TV show. We started a TV show 3 times a week, and it was all in Amharic because my sessions are mostly English. So when we started the Amharic session, people could experience without, being somewhere else. They could stay in their safe space and see what we're doing. And that, I think, has created a lot of positive change and view towards yoga.
Okay. Yeah. And you're actually telling me that yoga calms your mind enough by when you actually go to your religious engagement.
Exactly, because yoga is the tool. It's a science. It works. It's a very holistic teaching. It not only works on your physical body, but also on your mind. So if your body is sick, you can't sit there and go to church and pray. You're more, you take care of your body and not the other part. And then you get the tool to calm your mind. It doesn't make sense if you go to church or the mosque or somewhere and you're thinking about, okay, what am I going to do when I leave from here, or what have I done before? And our mind is not made to be in this present moment. You know, it's always either in the future or in the past. So it gives us the tools to be in this present moment. And the present moment is the only moment that we have. But we always live in that illusion of like, okay, you know, the future.
Yeah.
So yoga gives you the tools to be in this moment, to appreciate your life, to be thankful for where you are and not be in that space of fear or judgment, because the past and the future is always like, you know, you're always in this survival state. What do I have to do? What do I have to learn from my past so that I can do this better in the future? And it's not in the trusting space of surrendering to the Creator. So yoga gives you that space. And
so it actually aligns.
Exactly, it aligns the body and the mind, and it brings you in that space of the present moment.
Okay, for those of you who didn't know. So the center is becoming famous. There are various, it's becoming actually like a center for health, right? Healthy living. There's Zumba classes, there was Pilates, yoga taught by you and others as well. You've actually made it a center for, you know, well-being. Then COVID hits, and it's one of the centers, you know, just as gyms were hit hard, so was your center, because people couldn't come to recreate that kind of connection. How did you navigate that time?
Oh, I started Zooming. Actually,
Zooming.
Yes. So, yes, Zoom. Just before the lockdown, I was in Kenya teaching a session. It was a big yoga retreat, and I came back, and we had a nice meditation session, and one of my students came to me and said, in my meditation, I saw you doing online sessions. And I said, okay, what kind of platform? Like, what am I going to do? I had no idea. And that afternoon, I went and searched, and Zoom was there.
So it's like pre-COVID.
Yes, it was just 2-3 days before the whole thing started here. And so I went in and I registered for Zoom, and I put it out there, my Facebook page, and my students from all around the world just connected back. Wow. That was the moment where I saw like what kind of community I had built, because I would have people from New Zealand, from Australia, from Asia, like in the morning hours. I would teach Europe in the afternoon, the US in the evening.
Oh my God.
But I was in front of my my laptop the whole day, and I was saying, is this really so, like what I have been doing throughout the year, like through those 14, no, I don't know how many years, was just a game. Now is the time. Like, this was serious now. It wasn't, yoga wasn't just a luxury, or it wasn't something you do, you know. It was a necessity. And I could see it in the people who would come and take the sessions. And it just made so much sense, you know. And first I was like, are they trying to support me because they think like now everything is closed, and am I getting that support, or do they need it? And
you thought they were just doing you a favor?
Yes.
Like pay
First
you so
I was
you
like,
don't, so you survive.
I survived, you know.
Yeah.
They were like, how can we pay? How can we do? I'm like, okay, how am I going to handle all this? But this is the time. This is the time that this is not luxury. It's not like something you do because you're bored or you just want to stretch your body. It is the time where you have to align yourself. You have to know, like we heard from everybody, we have to find our truth. who we truly are. We can't pretend anymore.
Yeah.
I have to align this self. I can't blame it on others. I have to take responsibility for myself. And this is what we heard from everybody else today.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice to hear, you know? We're all finding who we are, and we have to stay true to ourselves. And more move inwards than what is out there in the society, what's expected of us from the society, but stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
And this was the message I got from everybody who was here today on the stage. Stay aligned, find your truth, your true expression, your words,
So what I hear you say is, you know, you've had the center 6 years?
7 years. Yeah.
7 years. And you knew it was a center where people came, whether to stretch, to do activities and so forth, but you didn't realize the type of community you had built until COVID came. And then you were in that space by yourself, and you saw how everybody that you've touched globally came back to you and said, we need to reconnect as humans again.
Exactly, yeah.
But then you close it down. What happened?
And then, so the time went like this until August, and in August I got the time to work a lot on myself. I was meditating, I was praying, I was doing a lot on myself. And one day I had this vision of the lotus flower.
The lotus flower.
Yes, and in yoga we all see the lotus, the white flower, and it grows in this muddy waters. And when I say that for Tulsi, because people who know Tulsi, it's a beautiful space. It was green, it was like you come in and it was an oasis. But I saw Tulsi, that was my nurturing space. Like in that moment, Tulsi was there so I can be that lotus flower, so I can shine. Tulsi was there to give me all the support. And now that I'm out there, Tulsi was done for me as a physical space. So I knew it. It was very emotional. I cried a lot. It was like, graduating from high school when you are going to college or excited for something bigger, but you don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt, but I knew that I had to let it go, so I can be that light, I can be that flower. And so I decided that day it was difficult for most of my students when I told them, because that was a space where everybody felt safe and where you can be who you truly are. But yeah,
that was time.
That was it. That was time. And I have trusted in my Creator all my life, and I know something else will come up, and I don't know what it is, and it's exciting.
So even though the center is closed, you're still teaching yoga in different centers.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now?
So I'm still teaching. I think my teaching style is changing a bit. So I don't want to change it completely and abruptly. So I'm still navigating, but I'm teaching at different places, open air spaces. Because of COVID now, we need like open air spaces. So I teach at the Hyatt, and I still do my TV shows, and yeah.
Right.
So that's still ongoing. But let's see what.
Do we know what's next for Deborah?
I have no idea. I'm still trusting, and I'm surrendering, and it's exciting, just to be in that space of like, what's coming next, what the Creator has out there for me. I don't know.
So there's so many instructors, even globally, right? If you're a freelance instructor, you can go from one house to one center to another and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're not driven by money. So what drives you?
I had that question after 1 year of Tulsi. I sat there and I'm like, I don't know if I want to struggle, like to pay rents and, pay this and do this and go through the the business side of it. But then I said, one day if I wake up and I can't move my leg or my arms, what's going to happen? It's going to be over. If it's just Deborah that I'm looking to, to promote or to make money So I understood I had to create the brand, I had to create the space, and it was an amazing decision that I made. What drives me is what I get from people. People think like, okay, you're teaching yoga, aren't you tired at the end of the day teaching so many sessions? But when I am in that space of teaching, I receive so much. It's not even in words. It's the people that I have around me now through yoga are incredible people. And all walks of life. I would have never met them otherwise. And these are people that are there for me. I know I can't quantify it, but I know I can wake up, and if there's anything, I could call anyone, and they will be there for me. That's maybe like something selfish, I don't know. But it's not, I don't even see it as, I receive so much out of what I give. And I don't see it as a giving. It's just like you sit there and you receive so much. Yeah. And it makes me grow each and every day. Every time I'm on the mat, it's a different person I'm teaching. It's what they get out of it is what they need on that day. So, yeah.
Nice.
It's not even...
So you're driven by your community.
Yes. And
I love it.
Yeah. It's just like
That's
giving.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, in a lot of our heads is like, okay, you go, you sit on a mat, you stretch, like your cousin said.
He said that to me.
But what is it like? What do we? What? And you also do these.
He said he never understood.
What you also do retreats, right? You actually take a group of people to different.
Yes.
Like, what happens to us? Like, what happens when I'm with Deborah or at a Tulsi branded retreat? Like, what is that experience?
Okay. So what happens is in yoga you completely stop looking outside. So because in this society, from the minute we wake up until we go to bed, we're always focusing on the outside. So that moment of yoga gives us the time to look inwards. And that's what people get. I think they get this safe space to look inwards without being judged, it's the safe space to be. So, and all the answers are here within us. We always try to find it somewhere else, but it's all within. The minute I look inwards, that's where I find my truth. And I say it again, I heard it from every one of the people who are here, and I heard it from you. So it's when we look inwards that we find the answers. And we start surrendering to a higher power. And that's what yoga gives you. It gives you the time and the space to be, just to be, not to act. The rest of the time we're always in action, and that's the time to be. And all the answers lie in that time of the present moment when we are just being who we are. All the answers show up. Yeah.
So as you navigate that being, what do you find? Somebody say it for me. Vulnerability to be.
That's the thing, We think we're in control because we are thinking, okay, I'm planning my day, I'm waking up, I'm planning, so I'm in control. And that time is surrendering time. The time to say, I'm not in control anymore. I just surrender. I just let be, I let go. And that's what we do with the breathing, you know. You breathe in and you breathe out, and you don't know if the next breath is going to come back to you. That could be the last breath, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the time of surrendering and letting go. That's when you're, what's the word?
The most vulnerable.
Yes. So the time on your mat, and to take it away from the mat and to have it in every moment of your life, to surrender, because we learn how to control things. But magic always happens when you let go. It's not when you think when you're in control. It's when you let go, that's when you give space to magic happening. Yeah.
All right. As we close out, what do you know to be true?
Woo.
What do you know for sure?
I know for sure I'm worthy to receive the whole universe. And
Say it again.
You know, we don't see our worthiness. We always, you know, I told you I'm going to be emotional, right? When we know we are created in the image of the Creator, we're worthy to receive the whole universe, and we don't see our worthiness. And every day we think we need to achieve. So just know that we're worthy. We're worthy to receive everything in this world and above and more. Yeah.
Ladies and my few gentlemen, Loli.
Thank you so much.